Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for this MYOB Advanced Construction Edition webinar. We ran a webinar around the general functionality of MYOB Advanced a few weeks ago, and if you're interested in seeing some of the other more day-to-day user experience features, please head over to our website and sign up for an on-demand copy of that webinar. It is only 30 minutes and you can view it at your own time. I'm Juanita Potgieter and I look after sales and marketing here at Verde, and I'm going to be your host and moderator today. This webinar should be around 40 minutes, and we will start by giving you a quick overview and then we will get into a product demonstration. So with that and our limited time, let's get right into it. MYOB Advanced was introduced into the Australian and New Zealand market in 2014 as the first true cloud ERP solution built for the ANZ marketplace. We currently have over 1,000 sites in Australia and New Zealand. But MYOB Advanced is actually a localized version of an international piece of software called Acumatica. Now, MYOB have the rights to regionalize Acumatica for the ANZ space, and as such, they've rebranded Acumatica as MYOB Advanced. It's good to understand that Acumatica is currently seen as the fastest growing ERP vendor, and they already have over 6,500 customers. The benefit, of course, for our current and future customers is that Advance will continue to evolve in line with global requirements. It is important to understand that MYOB Advanced is a fully integrated ERP solution. So everything is integrated in one solution, from finance to inventory management, customer management, sales and purchasing, project accounting, field service management, and then of course the MYOB Advanced Manufacturing Edition. Now, Advanced is 100% browser enabled. It is built for the cloud. It runs on any device using any browser. So whether you're accessing it from your phone or a tablet or a desktop, as long as you have access to the internet, you have access to your data that sits within MYOB Advanced. But let's have a look now at the MYOB Advanced Construction Edition. The Construction Edition works for different businesses within the construction industry. So it can work for general contractors that manage construction projects and assign work to different subcontractors, and even for the subcontractors themselves. It is also ideal for home builders that build individual houses from the ground up, or land developers that construct different structures within a single site. Now, the key benefits, first and probably most important, is the ability to maximize profitability. The MYOB Advanced Construction Edition will give you the ability to manage and forecast your costs and your revenue so that at any given point you have an understanding of how much your project is actually earning. You also have the ability to manage projects in real time, and as MYOB Advanced is cloud-based, you can see this across different platforms, whether it is a desktop in the office or a mobile device out on the field. Advanced also seamlessly integrate with best-of-breed construction solutions via the MYOB Advanced API. Now, when talking about the Construction Edition, it is important to view it as a whole ecosystem rather than just one component. So at its core, you have MYOB Advanced, which functions as the construction accounting module. It allows you to track your costs and your revenues against budgets, ensure that you are receiving bills from your suppliers, and raise invoices out to your customers. And of course, track the overall profitability of your projects. Now, around that, we have different tools that further support your construction project end to end. We have ProCore, which is a full suite of different construction management solutions, and ProEst, that works well in building out quotes by ensuring that all of the costs associated from materials and the labor components are tracked. We also have Assigner that works well for subcontractors since it allows you to manage the people on site. Additional solutions such as Smartsheet that helps you with project scheduling and DocuSign for paperless signing of documents are also available. Now let's look at what sort of pain points the Construction Edition can help with. Let's do this by splitting them between the core MYOB Advanced product and the supporting solutions or ISVs. With just the MYOB Advanced Construction core solution, you can address issues with managing claims and retentions, have a system that has a fully integrated accounting package, and have an accurate view of how each project is tracking against budget and its overall profitability. We can further extend the solution through our ISV solutions with construction project management, solutions for constructing estimates that ensure that all costs are considered and proper margins are set, or a solution to manage resourcing of staff at a worksite, including scheduling, rostering, and timekeeping. The core construction module allows you to manage project finances, track against budgets, manage commitments from subcontracts and purchase orders. You can keep track of compliance documents from suppliers and those that are specific to the project. Manage lien waivers for subcontractors and control when they are released. We also have a compliance module that allows you to keep track of any compliance documents from your suppliers and even those that are specific to the projects. MYOB also added features to comply with local requirements, such as TPAR reporting for Australia and progress claim forms in compliance with the New Zealand Construction Act. The core product also provides some light project management features that allow you to keep photo logs, enter project issues, request for information, or request for changes. These features are available on our standard mobile app as well and can be done out in the field. And as previously mentioned, we have the ISV ecosystem that seamlessly integrate with MYOB Advanced to further support all parts of a construction project. Now, as mentioned, the primary function of the construction module is to manage the finances of a project. What the module allows you then is to keep track of all your expenses from your own labor, subcontractors, use of equipment, and even inventory. As you then progress with the project, you'll be able to track them against the budgets that you have set and recognize them as part of your work in progress. If you have milestones that you bill against, you can process your claims through a pro forma invoice. This allows you to change quantities and the amounts before you post your invoice into receivables. You can also set up an approval process to release the pro forma invoice, and then once you do approve, that then gets converted into an invoice that gets recognized as part of your accounts. Now, in terms of how you bill your customer, you can bill based on a fixed contracted price with milestones, bill based on actual labor hours and materials, or by using a specific markup on top of actual costs. You also have the option of not billing a project at all. And within the same project, you can have different billing options. So if you have variations that will need to be billed differently, you can still manage it in the same project. Retentions are a standard feature of MYOB Advanced. It allows you to manage retentions that are being held by your customers and those that you are holding for your suppliers or subcontractors. The system provides you with different ways to do the calculation for this. You can set fixed percentage amounts or set different rates depending on the threshold percentages of the total contract amount. This saves you from doing a lot of manual work to calculate the values for each invoice. You can also set a cap on the amount you hold, which is usually applicable for bigger projects. At any given point, you can track how much of the retention has been released, which will help you with your cash flow. Any construction project is bound to have some changes and variations. This can be a requested change in design, issues identified during construction, incidents on site, or a host of other reasons. Regardless of the cause, the system allows you to manage them within the original project so you can track their impact to the budget that you have set and the overall profitability of the project. For greater control, you can also set up an approval process. This just ensures that any change that is made is signed off by all stakeholders. The system has also been designed to comply with the New Zealand Construction Act, which requires the contractor to separate claim amounts that are part of the original contract and those from variations. Subcontractors are an important part of any construction project. With that in mind, the Construction Edition provides solutions to manage your subcontracts for the project. Each subcontract that you create gets tracked as a cost commitment for the project, and as you are invoiced by your subcontractor, the costs are recognized as part of your project. You can also set specific retention settings in the subcontract. Within that subcontract, you are also able to keep track of all the prepayments you have made to the subcontractor. If there are any changes, as with the main project, you can create change orders specific to the subcontract. If there are any compliance documents, such as insurance and safety certificates, you can also keep track of them at this level. To have a successful and profitable project, it is important not only to keep track of your current costs and budgets, but also to look ahead. In this regard, the Construction Edition has a couple of features that allows you to do just that. You'll have the ability to forecast your budgets across the periods your project will run for, which really allows you to better manage your cash flow. You can also project your costs based on what you've completed, so you can determine how much money you'll need to spend to complete the project and the total costs you are to expect at project completion. For both features, you are able to create different revisions so you can have different versions to aid in making decisions for all sorts of scenarios. Tracking compliance documents is an important requirement for any construction project, especially when it comes to matters related to safety. The Construction Edition allows you to keep track of these compliance documents at different levels, at the supplier subcontractor level, the project, or a specific subcontract. You can also have the system automatically generate lien waivers to your subcontractors to sign. You can have templates for both conditional and unconditional lien waivers and configure at which point you would want them generated. The Construction Edition has some light project management features that should help you manage your day-to-day activities. Staff members can record issues or requests for information on site for further action. You can also store photo and drawing logs. All these transactions can then go through a workflow process to ensure that they are getting actioned or approved by the right people. You can also create submittals to document any changes in specification. Here's what the workflow will look like in practice. An employee may enter a request for information or raise an issue on site, which can be done through a browser or the mobile app. If that issue will require a change in the project's original plan, it can be converted into a change request, which in turn can be subject to an approval process to convert it into a change order to change the project budget. Another feature that is built in within the MYOB Advanced Construction Edition is the ability to generate daily field reports. This allows you to consolidate what you need to keep track of on site into a single document. You'll be able to keep track of your own staff and subcontractors' hours, all the change requests or orders logged for the day, as well as all project issues. Now that we've gotten an overview of the Construction Edition, let's go right into the system and see it in action. As MYOB is cloud-based, all you need is access to a browser window, so may it be Safari, Chrome or Edge, you can log into MYOB Advanced at any time. When you log into MYOB Advanced, you are presented with a dashboard that shows you the most important information about your projects immediately. You can have a table that shows you all your project estimates and what your current costs are to date. Your data can be presented either in a table or in a graph, and all of the elements are highly interactive. If I start dragging my cursor here, you can actually see the actual values that we are looking at. You also have the ability to include elements from other websites into your dashboard. So if you have a live video feed from one of your sites, or maybe you want to see a weather update, you can incorporate that into your dashboard as well. You will have the ability to design and edit your dashboard according to the information that you would like to see to manage your projects. Let's now view a project in our system. I can simply navigate within my dashboard to my Status by Project widget and drill down into it. This is an example of a project in the system. Here we can see the project ID and the customer. We have the ability to use pre-built templates in the system as well. This means that when you start your project in the system, you can select the template and it predefines the settings for the project immediately. You can track the status of the overall project, and here we can see at a high level the profitability project tracking for the project. So we can see the total income and the total expenses and what margins we're looking at. On the summary here, we can see all of the settings that are relevant for the whole project. We can see at what level we are tracking our revenue and our costs. We can see what billing we have set up for this project. With this, we can control when you can trigger the billing for your project. So in the case of milestone or progress billing, you can do it on demand or even set up periodic billings, say weekly or monthly, or if you have a more time and material engagement. As I mentioned earlier, the billing engine for projects is very configurable. Billing rules allow us to set up multiple billing types. Whether you are handling progress billing or milestone billing, you are able to bill based on what you've completed. It could be time and material that takes it from the actual cost, or even if you're doing some sort of cost plus engagement where you're putting up a markup on top of the cost that you have from your subcontractors or the cost of materials. The system also automatically allows you to hold retentions from the invoices that you send out to your customer. So you can have it set to a fixed amount like this, where we can see it set to 5% for the whole project, or you can also use steps. This allows you to set different retainage percentage depending on the thresholds that you have set as part of the total contract amount for your customer. You also have the ability to control whether you want to include change orders as part of your retentions and set different caps on your retentions. When I now navigate to our Tasks tab, you can see all the tasks that we have set up for this project. Project tasks in the system is dependent on how you would want to break the project down. So in this case, we have broken down the construction project into different components. Let's say for a milestone project, you can also use the different project tasks as the different milestones you build to the customer. In the case of time and material projects, you can have them as different costs that you incur, or even have just a single line on there where you booked your costs from your labor or from your materials and from your subcontractors too. For each task that you maintain, you have the ability to control whether it is relevant only for your costs, for your revenue, or relevant for both. You can also control whether a particular project task is part of the original contract or if it is a variation. And you can also set up different billing rules for each task. This provides you with flexibility of applying different billing to different parts of the project, but still have the ability to keep track of the overall profitability within a single project. If you have a standard project that you build based on progress, you could negotiate with your customer that any variation for the project will be tracked on a time and material basis. If we did not have that feature, you would have had to maintain the variation as a separate project and as such would not have full visibility on the overall project profitability. Within MYOB Advanced, you can just have it as a separate line, but billed differently. You will also have the ability to use different allocation rules. This will allow you to track your work in progress and unbilled revenue. Now, let's take a look at how you manage your budgets for a project. To do that, simply navigate to our Cost Budget tab. We can now see the different budget lines for this project. At the highest level, we can see that it is set at the project task. But then you can further break it down into what we call cost codes. Cost codes allow you to break down high-level tasks into smaller elements, specifically for your budgeting. So in this example, we have concrete as our task number 3, but we have further broken that down into different elements involved with concreting. You have the ability to set different quantities for each budget line. So if it's a subcontractor that will be working on this, you can set the quantity to 1. But you have the ability to set specific numbers in terms of the quantity of materials you will be using or the number of hours that you're expecting to use. And then also factor in as well the impact of change orders into your budget. So that's the cost budget side of things. Now let's look at how we can use the revenue budget. Setting of revenue budgets in the system is especially important when you have progress billing projects like this one. This is really what determines how much you're going to be able to bill. Let's use this task as an example. If I raise my completion rate here from 40 to 70, we can see that the system generates a pending invoice amount. This means that the next time I run my billing for this project, that's the amount that will be billed to our customer. Now, let's say this project is ongoing. Keeping track of all the finances of the project is really easy with MYOB Advanced. Let's navigate to the Balances tab here. On here, we can see the total revenue that we have generated. We can see all of the sources of our costs, so our costs from our labor, from materials, from our subcontractors, and our other expenses. If you had any work in progress, it will also appear on here. Here we can see the original budgeted amount, the revised budgeted amount, and then a comparison against your actuals. At the very end here, you can see that we are also provided with a variance amount and the tracking of our performance against a budget. You also have the ability to track all of the commitments that you have for your suppliers and your subcontractors. So you can see the total amount that you have from all your open purchase orders and subcontracts. Now, if I wanted to go into more detail on any of these commitments, I can just go into the Commitments tab, and here it will show me a listing of all the individual documents that I am tracking as a commitment. It includes the different purchase orders that I have and the different subcontracts that I have. If I open an example of a subcontract, you can see for this one, we have a subcontract with Suntech Concrete, and they will be performing different work for us that fall into different cost codes. We can put the contract amount for each one that we have with them. We now have the ability to track the subcontract, and with the subcontract history tab, I can see all the bills that we've already received from them. If they require some sort of prepayment, we can keep track of that as well. If our subcontract is for a specific change order for a project, we can keep track of it on here also. And if we have compliance documents that we need to keep track of for this specific contract, such as insurance and safety certificates, or even site instructions or inductions, you have the ability to keep track of them on here as well. Now let's go back to the project to take a look at all the other sources of costs that we have for it. One of the most important things that we need to keep track of in terms of costs are the costs that we generate from our own staff or employees. With MYOB Advanced, employees have the ability to enter their time against projects through what we call time cards. Looking at this time card, we can see that this is for a single employee. We can also see that he has been booking time against different projects, so you have the ability to do that within a single weekly time card. In terms of how the costs are determined, this will depend on the employee, whatever labor cost we have set up for the project, or even the type of work he or she will be doing. Let's go back to the project so we can close the loop and bill. I will now be billing directly through the project. But you will also have the option of doing this as part of a periodic batch job where you're able to bill all of your projects in one go. But for the purposes of this demonstration, let's bill this one directly on here. And to do that, it's as simple as clicking on Run Project Billing. As we have set this as a progress bill, the percentage completed is driving our billing. So we can see our project task is now 70% completed. The system calculated that we originally only billed 30% of it, so now it's billing the remaining 40%. We also see that the system automatically retained the amount for us that we've set on the project itself. From here, we can either print out the performa invoice or email it directly to the customer for their sign-off. Once they've signed off the invoice, we can then release this performa invoice or claim and then convert it into an actual invoice that reflects as a profit on our project. Now, specifically in New Zealand, we've also created a payment claim form that complies with the New Zealand Construction Act. This creates a payment claim form that separates the different claims that are based on the original contract amount and those that are from variations. There might be changes to the original plan within your project, so the system allows for a way to manage those changes. Here we have a change request. This is the entry screen that the user can use to request for a change to the budgets of our project. So we can see here that we are changing the budget for a specific task, indicating what sort of cost we intend to change, the quantity, if there's going to be an increase in the number of hours that the staff need to work, or maybe let's say it will be done by a subcontractor. We can simply include the cost that the subcontractor is going to charge. If you have an agreement with your customer that change orders will be priced differently, you can also set the markups to increase the standard pricing that you have. Now, this change request is simply a request for change to be made. We can incorporate an approval process for this so that we ensure that the change request is first approved by either the project manager or the other stakeholders before you can then create a change order. Here is an example of a change order that we've already created. Here we can see the breakdown of how the change order actually impacts both the revenue, the costs, and the margins that we have for the project. This one was created directly, but as you can see here, you can consolidate multiple change requests into a single change order. And if you want to see a further breakdown of how those costs are distributed, you can view them here on the Revenue and Cost Budget tabs, similar to how you do it when you're looking at a project. As we mentioned, when we're discussing subcontracts, you can tag specific change orders to your subcontracts. Likewise, you are also able to add compliance documents to it. So if you have specific certificates that you want to keep track of as part of your change orders, you can do that as well. The next thing I'd like to show you now are the features that are available within MYOB Advanced to help you further streamline the budgeting of your projects. We can do that in two ways. One of them is cost projections. So here's an example of a cost projection that we have made for a project. Again, here we can see some of the project tasks and cost codes that we have set up for this project, as well as the different budgeted costs and actuals that we have. So these are just drawn from the project itself. The important component here is the ability to change the completion percentage. So initially, the completion percentage on here will be based on your actual percentage of the budget. But as you know, that's not usually reflective of the truth. So you can go on site and see that even though the budget is saying that we've spent 98.67% of it, that may not represent what actually has been completed. So if let's say we change this to 80%, we can see now that our cost projections have changed. So the total cost to complete has changed, and what we expect to spend at the end of the project has changed as well. Another way the system helps us manage our budgets is to do budget forecasts. So if we open up the project forecast screen here and open up an example, the budget forecast in the system really allows you to break down your budgets that you have set for your project across different periods. So let's say I wanted to take this original budget in the amount of 12,000 and I wanted the system to automatically spread this across all of the periods. I can easily do that. And then it spreads it across each period for me. You are also able to change the monthly budgeted lines individually and then have that roll up to your final budget. And this is important because it helps with your cash flow for your project. So you know for each given period how much you expect to spend. And since you can also set up the forecast for your revenue budget, you can also track what you plan to receive from your customer. You can also add multiple revisions. So if you have different forecasts, let's say worst case scenario or standard scenario that you would want to manage, you can put both into the system and then generate all sorts of reporting tracking those different forecasts against your actuals. Now that we've covered the financial management side of projects, let's get into a discussion of the different compliance features that we have within the system. So the first thing I'd like to show you is the main compliance management screen that keeps track of all our compliance documents. You can classify them according to the type of compliance document, so they can be a certificate, insurance, lien waivers, notice, or any other compliance document that you would want to maintain. And for each one, you have the ability to track when it was received, when it's effective, and when it expires. You can actually track it at different levels. So as you can see, we have a few compliance documents here that we submit to our customers. We have ones that our suppliers or subcontractors submit to us, and then we can tag them at different levels as well. They can be relevant for the whole project, specific tasks, or even a specific cost code. We can see that some of them are generated directly from subcontracts. So again, the system provides you with a way to manage all of the documents that you need to maintain to meet your compliance requirements at different levels within the system. The next piece of compliance that I'd like to show you is lien waivers. So in the system, we have a way to generate lien waivers. So these are just documents that you send to your subcontractors for them to sign off. They then renounce their right to put a lien on the work that they have done for you. To do that, let's go into an example of a subcontract that we have here. As you can see, this is an already completed subcontract. And if you go into the history here, we can see that we already have a bill created for it. Now, if you look at the compliance, we can see that the lien waiver was created for it. Now, how that lien waiver was created was through the payment that we posted against the bill. Once you post the payment, you can configure the system so that it automatically creates the lien waiver for you. Lien waivers can work either for full or partial payments. They can also be conditional or unconditional lien waivers, so you can have separate templates for both. With an unconditional lien waiver, the subcontractor automatically renounces their rights upon signing the lien waiver. A conditional lien waiver usually has some stipulations on it that will only trigger the lien waiver once those conditions are met. And usually that's around receipt of payment. So regardless if a subcontractor has signed it, it will not release the lien unless they've received the cash. The final item I would like to show you today is the project management features that we have built into the Construction Edition. So as we discussed during the overview, there are some light project management features that are available out of the box within the MYOB Construction Edition. Of course, if you would need more complex management tools, we can use products within our ecosystem such as Procore to handle them. To start, I'd like to open an example of what we call a request for information. A request for information in the system is just a way for staff members to send out questions about the project. So this can be questions that they've come up themselves or questions that they've been asked by the client on site. This enables us to keep track and make sure that everything gets answered. At any given point, you know who the actual owner is. You can set different priorities to it and then determine whether it impacts the schedule of the project, the cost, or if it's a design change. If you go down here, this is where your actual question is put in, and then you can track the actual answer that was provided for it. You can create these requests for information, or you have them generated from what we call an issue, which I'll show you next. Your project issue is just a way for you to keep track of all the issues that have been encountered or reported on site. So if you open the list of project issues that we have, you can see all of them that are currently active, those that have been processed, and those that have been closed. So let's open up an example on here. We can see that this is a project issue about the damage that was created by a crane that accidentally swung into a wall. The project issues can be reported through a browser, or it can be done on-site using the MYOB Advanced mobile application. When it comes to tagging it to the project, you can then tag it at project level, but you can also go down to the task level, which allows you to later on convert this issue into a change request that then updates the budget for your future project. Alternatively, if this is a question that needs to be raised to someone else, you can simply convert it to a request for information. Again, we have an owner that keeps ownership of the project issue, and once it's been resolved, you can simply close the project issue. MYOB Advanced also includes a feature whereby you can log all of your drawings and photos for individual projects. So let's open up an example of a photo log here. As you can see, we can store a photo that was taken on site, tag that to a specific project, or even further down into a specific project task. You can have multiple photos with that single log, and you can have different revisions to it. Here's an example of a drawing log. So again, similar to the photo logs, we can have multiple revisions to it. You can have multiple files included on here as well. As you're using a fully integrated system, items within the project management module can all be integrated to other documents. So from here, you can create a new request for information or a new project issue. In order to consolidate all of the documents into a single document that you submit at the end of the day, we have a feature what we call a daily field report. We will have those things as part of a single submission that you provide daily. So under the daily field report, as you can see, you can indicate all the labor hours of the staff that were on site. Keep track of all the change requests that were submitted. If any of them were converted to change orders, you should be able to find them here as well. And the tracking of the hours of your subcontractors for that day. Also keep track of issues, your photo logs, and any other notes. Having this information at your fingertips enables you to have a real-time visibility into your projects. It provides you with the visibility to effectively manage your construction projects with ease while maintaining effective controls. Thank you, and we look forward to hearing how MYOB Advanced helps you grow and scale your business while making your processes more efficient. This concludes our overview and demonstration of the MYOB Advanced Construction Edition for today. If you would like to see a more in-depth demonstration aligned to your business processes, please reach out to our sales team at sales@verde.co.nz or visit our website www.verde.co.nz for more information around the MYOB Advanced Construction Edition. Thank you.